It is time for our college football pick'ems, and what's the first slide? Is it the records? No. Okay, good. We'll do my pick first, then we'll get to the records.
See what happens when I don't open a segment? Confusion.
Yeah, no, I'm just making sure. Yeah, it doesn't happen ever when you do it. So Mississippi State and A&M. I've got the Aggies in this one. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I think that they've got their offense clicking where they can run the ball and throw the ball to wins. Their defense shut down Auburn last week in ways I did not think that their defense could. So they're coming together as a team. Mississippi State is good. This is a very good Mississippi State team. Jeff Lebby's got things going on. I think Kyle Fields the difference here. If this one is in Cowbell Town, man, that would be a different story. But I'll take the home team here in a close one.
All right. As far as I'm going with this game, it's Texas A&M at home in College Station. I think that Mississippi State's been a really fun story. I love seeing Blake Shapen have some success. This is his last year, right? I think it has to be his last year.
No, he and Diego Pavia are going to do a tag team for another year.
I'm happy for him, though. I mean, it looked like when he left Waco that his career was just kind of going to meander and disappear, and now he's having this big moment in Starkville, and they've already had the huge win over Arizona State and all that. So I think it's been really, really fun to see. But Mississippi State doesn't have a very good defense, and I love what A&M's got cooking with all the weapons they have on offense right now. So, if this game was in Starkville and the cowbells and all that, I think that I'd have some more pause. I do think Mississippi State will be feisty and ready for the challenge. If there's anything that you can take away from Mississippi State is that Jeff Lebby has them believing, and he definitely has them feeling like they're on an upward trajectory right now. But I just think A&M's I think they can run, they can pass, they can defend, they can do a lot of different things, and I think they're the better overall team. Put them at home, and pretty easy call for me for Texas A&M.
I always go back, Paul. You remember this. We're down in Austin getting ready to cover Baylor in Texas, and I think Dak Prescott was the quarterback at the time, Mississippi State. They were up in, number one in the country. Do you know that when they have played each other since the SEC was formed, it's like 6-5 A&M? It's even when years when you would think that it wouldn't be. I love what Jeff Lebby's doing. He has done a phenomenal job, but I just think A&M has some really good stuff going. 1 week it's defense, 1 week it's offense. Maybe this weekend it's a little bit of both, but it will not be easy. But I do have the Aggies winning that game.
Yeah, so clean sweep across the board here. All of us have the Aggies winning the game. Next up, Iowa State and Cincinnati at Nippert Stadium. I'm still picking Iowa State in this game until proven otherwise, although this one is getting scary now that Cincinnati is favored in the game, but I'm going to go with the Cyclones. I think they've got enough offensive oomph now and ability to control the game. Cincinnati, their defense is, even Dante Corleone or not, is still a little spotty. I think they'll be able to run the ball. But with those cornerbacks out, I think that it's going to be a good day for Brennan Sorsby. Still think Iowa State gets it done, though.
Yeah, I'm taking Iowa State here. I mean, I get the spread being what it is, and I get the mojo kind of working in favor of Cincinnati. It would not be shocking to see them pull this off, but I'm still just a believer in Iowa State. I think they can win ugly. I think they can win going away. I think they had a nice showing last week that they roll in with some momentum, and Cincinnati, for all the momentum they have, is also this close to being a loss last week, and we're not putting them up the rankings and talking about them being favored in this game and all those things. So Iowa State to me has just been more of the steady hand. They definitely have a big challenge here. But, I mean, for the changes that Cincinnati has made defensively, where did those changes come from? It came directly from Matt Campbell in Iowa State, and their D coordinator came directly from Matt Campbell in Iowa State. So I know there's the issue with the injuries in the secondary. I am worried about that a little bit when it comes to Iowa State, but I feel like they'll figure it out, and I think that they've got more than enough with Rocco Beck leading the charge offensively to match scores if need be and to get that extra score when needed as well. So, give me Iowa State on the road.
Craig and Paul, how often when you change your mind on an original pick are you right?
So far, I've been 2-0 when I've done that this year.
Usually it doesn't work that way, especially with me. Paul, what's your history if you change a pick at the last second?
Oh, I don't even keep track.
Yeah. All right. Well, I changed mine. I Vegas knows a lot. That doesn't mean they're predicting Cincinnati to win, but they're, again, 1.5 or so favorite. They were an underdog. The injuries. I also believe in the Iowa State culture with what Matt Campbell has. They've 2-0 all time against Cincinnati, but I'm going to take the Bearcats. Just that Scott Satterfield grin, what he said about his team, huge win last week. Sorsby, man, he's just so fun to watch. I'm taking the Bearcats.
All right, next up, a very, very important game to me personally. Florida State and Miami. This is by far the best these two teams have been at the same time in the last 20 years. Like maybe a little bit more before that, but in the last 2 decades, neither of these teams have been on concurrent tracks. It's been up and down all across the state of Florida when it comes to the big three of Miami, Florida, and Florida State. They're not all good at the same time anymore. It doesn't work that way, but it does right now. Florida State off the upset trap game on the road against Virginia. I'm going to pick the Noles at home. I think this might be Miami's only loss. I actually don't think that Virginia will be Florida State's only loss, but I'm taking the Noles at home. I think they got a scare put into them last week. Carson Beck, not as much of a threat to run zone reads. So I think that if they can contain that and get some actual pass rush, they'll make enough plays to win at home on Saturday night.
All right. The Knoll takes the Knowles.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Canes. Yeah, I mean, it gave me some pause at being a Doak Campbell, and I know that'll be a raucous crowd for it, but I like what I've seen from Miami, and I'm shockingly going to say I'm more of a believer in Carson Beck than Thomas Castellanos, which, if you know, I've not always been the most glowing about Carson Beck. I know that his play is not quite what the way we were talking about it a couple weeks ago. It's come back down to earth, but Miami's got a nasty defense. They've got great lines, and Castellanos is a good player. I get all the reasons of rebounding last year, but, man, he can be so erratic, right? I mean, he can be a very frustrating player to watch. I think Miami's going to be able to get in his grill and force him into some mistakes, and this ought to be a hell of a brawl, I think, between these two teams. But I like the Canes a little bit better. Being in Tallahassee, though, like I said, it does give me some pause, but I'm going to ride the number 3 Miami train into the station there.
All right, you, Mr. Seminole, when was the last time that Miami and Florida State played each other? They were both ranked. Was it last year? But Florida State had died.
No,
died
Florida
by
State
then.
was done before then.
Yeah,
so.
I'm curious about that. That is fun to see, and I'll never forget back in the day, even 30 years ago, 25 years ago, this game to me meant football started. Like, this was the one. Texas OU's got that same deal. This one has that pedigree. It's been too long. I know it's a Doak Campbell. Miami just seems to be playing just better. And Florida State, I'm sure, will bounce back being at home. But I'm taking the Canes.
All right.
We're still friends?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Look, I'm barely clinging on to my pick as it is. I just
Do you know what I mean about Castellanos, man?
Yeah,
he can be so fun, but he can be just so
he can
erratic.
He can give you anxiety.
The thing that worries me is that the way you kind of stop him is to blitz him and get in his face, because he's like Carson Beck's 6'5", right? So you get in his face and like that hurts all quarterbacks. But if you're 6'3" and he's 6'5", he can still get the ball over you. Castellanos last week, the Virginia made a great play when Florida State was trying to go down and score the first time, which basically was, this guy's taller than Tommy C, and he just jumped up and picked off the ball.
Yep.
So when you have a 5'8" quarterback, these things are going to happen. But you know, I believe that Gus Malzahn's offense will be enough to carry it. Bama and Vandy. Bama's at home. That's why I'm picking Bama. I think that this one will be really good. I think that they've got confidence rolling with them, especially going and winning last week between the hedges and further proving to Kirby Smart that it's not just Nick Saban. Maybe he just can't beat Alabama. That's his bugaboo. So I'll take Ty Simpson over Diego Pavia here, but I bet you Pavia puts up about 300 yards.
Yeah, I think Pavia will be able to eat pretty well still, but I'm going with Alabama, partially because it's at home. And I think, too, like, you're on red alert. This isn't last year, and I know there was a little bit of a warning sign with Pavia's history as well of like, hey, this guy can come in here and beat you now. But I love how I've seen Alabama respond the last 3 weeks to the start of the season and that loss to Florida State. I mean, for all the hand wringing and pow and all this other stuff that was going on there for a few days where it felt like the world was falling if you lived in Tuscaloosa, it's been great since then. Hell of a win last weekend. Very impressed by what they did. And yeah, I'm a big believer in Vandy and the upset bid, but I don't know. It's less about Vandy for me and more about what I've seen from Alabama. And also the fact that they're at home, and also the fact that they've been drilled in the head with, Diego Pavia. Do you remember the loss last year? Yeah. Diego Pavia. So I think Kalen DeBoer and company will have a point to prove, and I like them at home.
Yeah, and last year it was a 2-0 advantage Vanderbilt when it came to turnovers, which had a little bit to do with it. 40-35, hell of a game. Pavia also has said they're the ones that kind of control I don't know what the exact quote was, but he has a right to be very confident. I love the way Vanderbilt plays, but I was stunned at how Alabama looked, at how good they looked against Georgia, who may have been overmodulated a little bit. I'll take Alabama to win this one at home. Plus, just like you said, Craig, I love the way I saw them play against Georgia.
Yeah, it's less about –
they're not flawless, but they're
It's like the mojo ranking. Sometimes not about what you did. It's what somebody else did. And so this, to me, is about Bama. I also think getting Jam Miller back proved fruitful immediately. Vandy's very good against the run, but I think this is kind of a different animal they're facing in Alabama as well. So, I like the tide here.
Yeah, so far only one difference, my homer pick. That's everything else has been the same. This game is my personal nightmare. I will watch it, but I have no feelings of warmth for either two of these teams at all. Like there's nothing. It'd be like if you invited me to a fight between Russia and China right now. I'd be like, I really know what I'm pulling for here. Just hope we all don't get hurt in the process.
Can both teams lose?
Yeah. So, look, Florida is, whatever the contract language that saves them $4 million in Billy Napier's buyout this year, that's when he's going to get fired. Both these defenses are really good. I don't expect to see a lot of points scored. DJ Lagway is not completely healthy and has not been practicing, which is not good when you go up against this Texas defense and your offense isn't good already. So whatever his status is, we'll find out, later in the week when they release the injury report. But I think it might be better for Florida to maybe sit him out for a little bit and get him healthy so he can.
You want him to sit out so he has a red shirt, or
no? I think
he can transfer.
If he plays this week, that's over.
It's totally not because I'm an FSU fan. No, because I want the kid's best interest. No, I know what you mean, but
yeah. But I mean, for them, I think that's I'm trying to be as neutral as I can here. But for them, if they want him at all this year to be consistent, they need to sit him down. We'll see if Arch Manning truly has his mojo back, but I'm going with Texas in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really worried about what DJ Lagway ends up doing. He's a grown man. He can make the best decision for him. And maybe he just loves Florida. It's not about Napier, and he's just going to stick it out there. But, yeah, I mean, those are the types of decisions we're seeing being made. We talked about two of them earlier today with Nico Marchiol and Oklahoma State feeling the effects of Mike Gundy leaving. I have not looked at any predictions this week. You just get him passing kind of a little flare thing here or there. I do get the sense that this is a big upset bid game, though, for some people, or the feeling like this could possibly be a big upset. I don't see it. I just don't know how Florida's scoring points here. Yeah. I'm not a believer in their offense, especially against an incredible Texas defense. I'm not the biggest believer in that Arch Manning has his mojo back and all that, but I would much rather have that performance and him peacocking against Sam Houston than what we saw in the weeks prior to that. So he's coming in hot off that. They've had a bye week to get extra prepared for this. Again, defense is incredible. Tons of weapons around Arch. I see why people can feel like them rolling into the swamp's going to be this big difficulty. And look, they could get to Arch. Maybe he's not the peacock that we saw against the Bearcats. Maybe he is more of what we saw prior to that. But there's a lot more I like about Texas. And in a lot of these kinds, like we were talking about Houston, Texas Tech in the break. It's how's Houston going to score enough points? That's how I feel about this game. I don't see Florida scoring enough points or limiting Texas enough, even though it is presumed to be low scoring based on what I have come across there. So, yeah, I'm taking Texas.
All right. Florida, with Lagway didn't play last year. Warner did. It was a blowout, beat the hell out of him. It was like 35-0 at halftime. Again, that's last year. Texas's defense, you hear a lot about what they haven't really produced on offense because of Arch and all that. The running game has been sporadic, but their defense is still really good, and I think they just eventually swarm the swamp, and I do think that they'll win. And whether or not it's because Texas unleashes the offense, if they finally got it together by just playing, I don't know. But I have the Horns, and I think they roll against the Gators.
Finally, last one with clean sweep on the Horns there. Last thing, here's our picks. And
God, I sucked last week.
I forgot about Smoaky Cincinnati pick. So we've got a couple of differences across the way, but we'll see.
Well, that's
Craig's
good. We need Craig to be wrong a couple more times. Let's see. I can only pick up a game where I could fall another game back.
Yeah, we got one difference between you and I, and then what?
One for
difference
Paul.
Between Paul and I, so two differences between you two. So yeah, there's a little bit of ground that can be gained, but when you're dealing with such a small sample size, hard to have too many inconsistencies there.
Paul, let's do this. You let Cincinnati win. I know you'd lose that way, and I'll let Florida State win, and then we don't gain any ground on each other, but we may gain a game on. Okay, Paul. All right.
If Cincinnati has to win by 700 for Florida State to beat Miami, I'll take that every time.
Yep.
All right. That's my trauma.
There we go. Every Wednesday, we look back at what we didn't do well or did on our picks, and also 5 games coming up